Anytime you're working on yourself, growth is a journey. It does not happen overnight.
Welcome back, Wellness Warriors, to In the Mirror with Felicia and Jaleisha. My name's Jaleisha.
And I'm Felicia. And this channel is all about generational wellness unfiltered. So we're bridging the gap between generations to build healthier, wealthier, and happier lives. So today we're going to dive into what we did wrong in 2024 in our mental health journey and how we're going to get it right this year in 2025. It did take an entire year. I know in 2023 coming to 2024, I was working on my issues with overcommitting myself, learning to say no and mean a no. It was very challenging for me. I worked on that diligently last year. Would you say?
Yeah, I definitely think you worked on that. I also struggle with that sometimes, especially put other people's needs in front of mine with my schoolwork and stuff. And I had to realize that I need to graduate with a 3.8, and I need to put myself first and step away.
Now we're going to look at what we did wrong in 2024 and the things that we're implementing this year so that we stay on track. We're also going to share some of the things we did last year to kind of get over and overcommitting ourselves and just really working on ourselves so that we do better in our personal and our professional lives. For me, I still struggle with overthinking. I do overthink because I like to get everything right. I like to be perfect. And so it's challenging for me not to overthink every situation. I'm usually that person that's reading an email 3-4 times before I press send. I'm that person. And I just want to make sure that I'm communicating properly. I'm always trying to think what's the worst possible thing that can happen in a situation so that I'm prepared for it. And that's not really the best way to live life, you know? And I think that was a generational thing growing up where my mom, that's how she prepared me for the world. Just prepare for the worst, growing up in New York City. I just walk into the train station. You have to be alert all the time and be aware of your surroundings. So you're always prepared. And I'm learning how to change that. One of the things I have been doing is my morning devotion, and we've been doing that together. So I'm doing it for the reason of overthinking. What was your reason to really start the devotion, the morning devotion?
It was about getting closer to God and just really finding myself with God, allowing Him to guide me through life.
It is strengthening my relationship, and at the same time, it's allowing me to focus on faith over doubt, and that is putting my mindset in a different perspective. And it's not to say that doubt doesn't sneak in, it does, but when it sneaks in, immediately I turn it back around and I just think about me being faithful and grateful for all the things that God has brought me through. And when I'm doing those morning devotions, it does have questions that make you focus. And so when you reflect back on all the great things and all the mercy and grace that God has had for you, it's like you can't have doubt. You have to have faith. And I am enjoying my morning devotions. The devotion will pop up on my phone, so I'll read it quickly. And sometimes I'll find myself getting emotional at work because I start to reflect back on things and I just get emotional. Another thing I do is I have my hype music. So anytime before I'm going to a meeting, Tasha Cobbs is in my ear and I'm playing You Know My Name. And when it gets to the part, No Fire, oh, that's my part. So I'm in there and I'm jamming, I'm in it. And then once I'm finished with that song, I'm ready to conquer the world. So, if you suffer with overthinking like I do, find that song that kind of gets you hyped up and ready to go in and take over the world. That is working for me with my morning devotion. I know that there was a second app we also downloaded.
Bible Phone.
That app you've been doing as well. The first app allows you to also tap into things that you're dealing with personally. So my devotion is not exactly the same as hers. So if I'm wanting to do a devotion, but then I'm also wanting to do a plan for anxiety or marriage or love, friendship, forgiveness, like they have different topics that you can create a plan for. So I do love it for that reason. And then with the Bible for Women, it will generate quizzes throughout the day, which I love that. So that's always a fun thing to participate in. Number 1 on that list was overthinking. Number 2 on that list, and I'm going to say this, and I think this is more probably for you than me, is suppressing your emotions. Why do you think you do not communicate effectively with your peers and in your professional environment?
When it comes to other people, it's like, how can I trust these other people with my problems? You know, like, I don't want to feel judged. But then it's like, sometimes I feel like I'm not heard. Like, if I express my, like, feelings or emotions that I have about something, and then it's just like, oh, okay, we heard you. Like, they just write me off.
So what are you going to do differently in 2025 so that you feel like your voice is heard, that you feel like you're worthy and that you belong? I know one of the things we talked about is journaling. So that's a solution.
Yeah.
Because first you need to know your own thoughts before you can share those thoughts. So the last thing we're going to talk about is dismissing your small wins. And I think that sometimes you can get your confidence if you celebrate your small wins. And a lot of times I think that you feel like, oh, I'm not, where I want to be in this very moment, but you're not. And journaling helps with that because you get to go back and see where you were and what you've accomplished. But celebrating those small wins. Do you feel like you had any of those small wins that you don't feel like you celebrated last year?
I feel like graduation was a win for me.
What do you mean by that?
Like, it was supposed to be like this grand moment for me, and I think like other things like took away from that moment, and I wish it didn't, but
But people don't know what you're talking about, so it sounds weird when you're just like, other things took away from it. I'm pretty sure at the beginning of this episode we said unfiltered.
My world.
I didn't bring it up. You did.
I'm just telling.
You can't tell half of a story. That is like the worst thing you could do to anyone is to start a story and then I'm going to leave out all the good parts. Why even tell a story?
Then
I went through
a breakup after graduation, and it really took away from like the whole graduation moment with my family.
Yes. Okay. Going into 2025, we're going to manage stress and prioritize self.
Yes.
Okay. So number 1, morning devotion. Number 2, journaling. Number 3, always working on growth. We are reading a book a month, and every month we're going to share with you guys what book we're reading. This month we're reading Anthony ONEAL, Take Your Seat at the Table. I did start reading this. We're reading it together. I also have it on Audible because I am a audiobook girl. It's just easier for me. I like listening to books in the car. And so even as you were talking about not feeling worthy, just in the first 10 minutes of the book, Anthony talks about being a youth pastor and walking into a room. He was going to have a meeting and there not being a seat at the table for him, and what that felt like in that moment. And so just hearing you talk about not feeling worthy, like when you walk into a room and not feeling like you belong, I think that by reading this book, you may get some insight on how to get your seat at the table. So each month we're going to read a different book, and we're going to continue to do is attend conferences. And so last year I went to Invest Fest. I also went to Detail to Dollars, Pastor Sarah Jake's book tour, and I had the golden ticket, and I was taking a picture on the stage, and Pastor Sarah Jakes walked out, and so she's in the back of my picture. Love that moment. And also went to ONEAL last year. I must say, out of all the conferences I've ever been to, Woman Evolve, by far, the best conference I've ever been to in my life, but the uh, most draining conference, draining emotionally that I ever been to in my life. I felt like I needed like a 4 day vacation, like just laying out on the beach, watching the waves come in. Like that's what I felt like I needed because it was just a lot of crying, a lot of emotion, a lot of spiritual warfare going on, and you're just in a room full of women, and just the energy. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How was the experience for you?
It was an amazing experience. Like at first, when we first got the tickets, I was just like, I don't really want to go. Like I don't really want to do anything at the time. But once I went, just to see all those women in there to just worship God and knowing that these are God-fearing women that are going to leave here and continue to serve God was just amazing.
I would recommend that conference to anyone. So again, thank you guys for joining us as we took a deep dive into what we did wrong in our mental health journey in 2024 and all the things that we're going to do in 2025 so that we are on track to growth, and intentional growth is what we're doing this year. And so we hope that you guys join us on this journey. Like I said before, anything we're doing, we're going to share with you guys, and we hope that you can join us. If you don't join us, we will report back to you. So anything we learned in the book that we're reading this month, we're going to share with you guys. When we go to a conference, if we learn something, we come back, we're going to bring it back to you guys and share with you as well. If you have any topics that you would like for us to address, put it in the comments and we'll come back and we'll get to those topics and bring those episodes to you guys. Once again, we enjoy bridging the gaps for generational health, wealth, and happiness.
Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe below. Bye.